Hello, welcome to A Day with the Cart Driver. It's 2020, we're all sitting indoors because we can't go outside. So let's all watch anime from the spring 2020 anime season. I'm here with Day.
Who still has to go to work. I do want to point that out.
Oh yeah, you are classified as...
You keep trying to say, oh yeah, no one can go out. And I'm like,
You are an essential worker.
I'm still doing shifts, thank you.
You're an essential worker. The world will fall apart without you.
Well, remember I told you about the meme?
Yeah.
The one that's, haha, I'm in danger.
Yes.
And someone printed out and says, Chuckles, I'm essential.
Anyway. But you still have had time to watch anime from the winter 2020 season, and this is our first impressions.
You mean spring?
Spring, sorry. Winter was actually quite a good season in the end, I found. Or maybe that's because
I can't remember what I watched.
Well, I
Wow,
liked...
it sure left an impression.
I liked It Invaded and Eizouken, so...
I finished Oshibudo. I ended up not finishing 22-7.
Oh.
Because I couldn't sit through all that bullshit.
In my head, you were watching the Shield Girl gamer
I
anime.
wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, it sounds like it was totally fine, but since I'm not into gaming in the first place, it's not really compelling. It's sort of like, I watched a few episodes of Gun Gale Online, and it's like, this is like watching someone play video games. This is kind of fucking boring. This is what I always hated about, when we hauled out the video game machine back when we were mere youths. What else aired?
Did we watch anything together, though?
No, we didn't.
We watched nothing. Haikyuu.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we watched Haikyuu.
But
it was a fairly weak season of Haikyuu as well, though.
Yeah, because it's like, once they actually start going, it's like, oh, cliffhanger.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, I guess that's inevitable when you split one of their seasons in half.
Yeah, when they have to do the
like, hey,
training arc.
Remember these folks that we've never fucking given any lines? Yeah, now they matter.
Yes.
Don't you care about their struggles? No, I do not care about Satoshi Bitch-kun's struggles.
Hey, who's Satoshi Bitch-kun?
I was just, picking a random...
Generic anime.
Like
generic
Yuki
anime. Yes.
As
Yuji every lead. Anyway. But do you know what? If you want something from this season that you've enjoyed, if you want a real bitch-kun, there is Millionaire Detective, with whom he's going to make everyone his bitch-kun.
Yeah, man. I was looking at Twitter. People are horny.
Well, I feel like that's the entire intent of this show, was like...
Check out this asshole. He's cool as shit. He's an asshole. You want to lick his feet.
Basically, yes. So this one is...
What if there was this super rich guy whose bank account balance was unlimited? That's one of the subtitles of the show, because it's Millionaire Detective Balance Unlimited.
Yes.
Which isn't quite the possibility of...
No, wait, I knew it, because I had
the possibility of soul and money control?
The possibility of soul and money control. Maybe that is it.
It? Oh, I don't know, I didn't watch it.
I had to write it, because
Which was like,
I covered
what
that
if the
show
stock
weekly.
market but Pokemon?
I covered that show weekly.
What if the stock market but Pokemon?
It wasn't awful, it just also was... It had some cool style to it. But...
I know people were disturbed by the ending.
Oh, because it got incesty, anyway.
Anyway, Millionaire Detective doesn't seem to be incesty, but the whole premise is this really rich guy who has an unlimited bank account balance and is kind of a jerk, but he's also super hot and knows how to dress well, decides that he's going to be a detective, is what I loosely got from it, and flew into Japan on his own private jet to be like, I'm going to be the detective now. And the police were like, you have loads of money. You're a detective now. Cool. And then they stop a bomb plot.
By the two most inept bombers.
Well, they weren't even the
bombers. No, they robbed a chocolate...
They were trying to rob a jewelry shop, but it was a chocolate shop. And then they're like, oh shit. And they jumped into the nearest van, which turned out to have a time bomb in it.
Yep. I think the scene that probably best shows what this guy's personality is like is after he's attempted to drive them over the edge, drive these poor, like they're they're robbers, but they're clearly just in over their heads. He tries to drive them off the edge of a suspension bridge.
Yes, because the bridge has gone up, so he's using a fancy car that he just stole, by the way,
Yes.
from, a pseudo-Emirati prince.
Yes, a Middle Eastern prince. He's then tried to drive them off the edge, and then his detective friend is hanging off the edge of the bridge.
Yeah, because he jumped into the car to try to get the driver out so she wouldn't get blown to bits.
The actual noble police detective, etc., believes in justice.
Yeah, he's like, Seigi, Seigi, Seigi. And of course I know Seigi. Oh, because I finished, that's another show I watched this spring, Richard the Jeweler.
Oh, yes.
In which it was, one of the leads was Seigi.
Yeah, so he was hanging over the edge of the bridge, about to fall, after the bomb has gone off, and he's fine. And the rich arsehole walks up to the edge, looks down at him, hanging off the edge, and he's like, "Okay, you gonna help me?" And then the rich bloke just smiles at him, and then
lets him fall,
and then cuts out, and it cuts to the guy just dropping into the river, and you're like, "Wow, you are fucking awful."
Oh, and also one of the things, the running threads is that he's just he's causing a lot of damage. And the justice guy's like, "What? You are, this is what I hate about people like you. You just don't care." And the rich guy's like, "Personal assistant, Chan. Make sure you pay double the damages for all the damage I've wreaked. No big deal." And personal assistant Chan's like, "Got it. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, it's all been deposited."
Yeah.
And justice guy's like, "What?" It's pretty ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and what makes it ridiculous is they do a fantastic job of just emphasizing just how ridiculous the use of music in particular.
Oh yeah, whoever was responsible for how they used music to underscore what was going on. It's one of the better jobs
Absolutely.
I've seen in a while, where it's very, very
deliberate.
A lot of background music can end up just being, background music.
Yeah.
Whereas the use of music here actually, meshes with what's going on, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it also helps to emphasize the fact that the staff know that this is ridiculous.
Yes.
And it's very much tongue-in-cheek. No one's supposed to think that rich bitch is a good human being, even if we're all supposed to be horny for him.
Yes.
I am not horny for him, just for the record.
I might be.
Am I gonna come home?
No.
You're gonna have a body pillow of him?
Yeah, and I'm just licking the feet. Anyway. I'm not sure, I can see myself in 4 episodes going "Holy God, I cannot stand this man, please. I do not want to watch anymore." But for a first episode, it was very funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
The show knows how ridiculous it is, including all the weird random minor characters, the people in the middle of watching porn and betting on horses at work.
Yeah, there's this scene where they're trying to get people to be like, "Well, you gotta go help out with being a guard at this car show thing," and people are like, "Oh, I can't go because
Gotta walk.
I have to walk the dog."
Yeah.
And Seigi boy looks over and is like, "You're looking at the horse racing pages. What the hell?"
Yeah.
But he's also justice, so
Yes.
there's also some. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting the rest of the cast.
Yes.
His colleagues, because they seem like they could be a very fun bunch.
We'll see. As I said, I could definitely see myself in 4 episodes being like, "Holy shit, please get this man off my screen. I hate him with all my guts." But
You just hate him because you won't return your calls.
I'm okay being his side bitch. It's fine. Anyway, next show, speaking of... What? I'm his number 3.
Who's his number 1? Oh, himself. Who's his
Number 2, Reflection.
Oh. I know that people are shipping the leads already. Because of course they are. Nothing like a good romantic start to your show with having, one of the prospective members of the couple let the other fall possibly to his death.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's a real way to start a relationship.
Yeah, that's basically how we met, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Next up on the list is Otome God, I wish I'd written the real name.
How about... Yeah, see, this is the problem. You write down the, oh yeah, this is totally the name, LOL.
Otome Game, all flags lead to doom.
No, the official release is My Next Life is a Villainess, all routes lead to doom.
Yes.
Which was also funny.
Which,
of course, it should have been if it was done right, because it's a comedy that it's based off of.
This is the one about, it's an isekai where a girl is reborn in an Otome Game as a villainess. And she remembers that, being in this world means that if I remember all the routes correctly, I either die or be exiled in every single one. How do I stop this from happening?
Except she's also not the brightest young thing.
No.
And a lot of her attempts, she's the sort of person who goes, I've discovered that my fiancé, who is one of the heroine's roots because I'm the villainess, he's afraid of snakes. That way, when he turns on me in the bad end for me, I can throw a fake snake at him and escape.
Yep.
She's really funny.
She's also got... The funniest part of the show for me is the little war chamber going on inside her head of all the different versions of her. It's basically Inside, like anime version of the Pixar movie Inside. Where there's all the little the chibi versions of her arguing with each other around a table, including the one guy with the one version with the mustache and the gavel, going like, "We must discuss the next course of action."
Yeah. So I've read the first 2 volumes of the light novel. It's decent. And that in particular I thought was very well adapted because of the way it comes across in I think it comes across better in animated form than it did in the text because you have the visuals to go along with it. And more generally, this is a good adaptation.
I will say I did notice in episode 2, which we have managed to watch, boy did the actual amount of animation drop. There was a lot of just still screens. A lot.
It's not like there's a lot of... It wasn't particularly hyper animated in the first episode either.
But even on some of the most basic level, it was just like, here's a slideshow for you. Next slide, please. It was,
But as I was saying, it's been very well adapted because they're sprinting through a lot of the material, but they're definitely hitting all the high notes and what they actually need to include. Really what I'm saying is they're doing a good job of compressing a decent chunk of material in a way that isn't, choppy or difficult to follow, or I've been impressed with the adaptation work so far. And, you mentioned the lack of animation, but the backgrounds are really nice. I've been surprised because I was expecting this to be a lot cheaper looking than it's ended up being.
That's a very cool OP.
Yeah, the OP's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I've been liking it a fair bit. I didn't think the second episode was quite as good as the first, but I don't know how much material they're planning to cover ultimately. I can't remember how many volumes of the light novel exists, but the rate they're going, they might go through... God, I wouldn't be surprised if they get through 3 volumes, which sounds like a lot, but the original light novel has a lot of fluff, too.
Okay. And apparently this may start the new trend of these Otome Game isekais, because I gather there are a lot. And it's a growing trend, and particularly if this does well.
It's also worth pointing out it's very specifically not just trapped in an Otome game, but oh shit, I'm trapped in an Otome game and I'm the bad guy. Oh crap, what do I do? There's a lot of those.
That's weirdly specific.
Well, when you get down to it, if you think about how inert Otome game leads have tended to be historically.
Oh, yeah.
I could see where someone would find it much more... I could see where someone would find it more enticing to imagine themselves in the shoes of the horrible villain who then has to, actually be active in avoiding terrible fates.
I guess when you consider how many of the trapped in a video game ones people come as like, I'm the demon lord. You know what I mean? Overlord and so on.
Yeah, although it's a slightly different,
Yeah, but
because in those ones where it's like, I'm the bad guy? What? It's a little less like, I must avoid the bad end, like, check
yes.
me out, I'm badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's this one, there's, the slightly lesser known accomplishments of the Duke's daughter, which the manga's being released in English, where it's, yeah, she's like, oh shit. But in that case, it's the woman dies and comes to as her character's being exiled. The bad end's already happened. And now she has to figure out, okay, well, how do I work within this frame?
Yeah.
I prefer the Villainess, which is, I was reborn in an otome game, but I have the hots for the Villainess, not the harem dudes.
Okay. Anyway.
But enough about that. People probably aren't quite that interested.
Next up we have Appare Ranman, which is...
I did not like this at all.
Which is by PA Works.
It's an anime original.
Anime original about... what's the name? I've been trying to find out this. What's the name of the thing where they have to do the Great Race Across America? It's a thing that JoJo's Part 7 is based off of. There's a lot of things based...
The Great Race.
The Great Race. Is that just what it's called?
Probably.
It's something like that. But yeah, it's basically that idea, not even steampunk, but close.
Here's a very, very famous example that is not quite the same thing, but it's essentially one of the, original examples of this type of story, Around the World in 80 Days.
Yes, it's
Jules Verne.
Yeah, it's one of those, and they have a Jules Verne book in it, although it's translated.
Yeah, but he's reading the English
version.
I find that so weird.
He's reading the English version when I'm pretty certain no English version existed in that time period.
No, there was an English language version was released a couple years after it was originally published, but it still doesn't really make sense that he's reading the English language version.
Yeah.
Also, too, because, so not to dive too far down a hole, but so the thing with a lot of the original translations into English of Jules Verne's work, by the way, I know I'm not pronouncing it right because I don't do French, folks, sorry. It was very much bastardized stuff.
Oh, okay.
It tended to excise a lot of the material. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is probably the one that people are most familiar with. The older translations of it very much dumbed it down. It's a much more technical book in its original version. So much so that it wasn't until, so much so that the publisher who finally released a full unabridged version in English was actually the U.S. Naval Institute Press. And that wasn't that long ago that they did that. Because most of it was pitched in this very, boys' adventure type thing.
Yeah.
Which I would like to get my hands on the new translation because I really enjoyed the book. My dad read it to me as a kid.
So part of the reason why they've got Jules Verne in there is the one he's reading is To the Moon and Back or something like that. I don't remember which one he's reading.
Yeah, it's it is something like To the Moon. It's not one that I have any familiarity with.
And the idea being this guy, he's an inventor in 1900s Japan and goes to America.
No, it's the late 1800s.
Late 1800s.
Yeah, no, it's
turn of the century anyway.
It's almost immediate. It's very soon after the Meiji Restoration. So we're talking maybe the early 1890s, maybe the late 1880s.
Los Angeles was formed fairly late.
No,
am I wrong in that?
Well, the name's kind of a giveaway.
Well, yeah, Spanish, I suppose, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Los Angeles history to speak authoritatively.
No,
but
you're an East Coaster.
I do think that it looks... the Los Angeles they're depicting to me reads more obviously as San Francisco, but that might just be cultural ideas down the ages.
So part of it is they're going for... The reason they mention that is this guy is amazed by science and his ultimate dream is, can we go to the moon? But for now he's just inventing weird machines and driving machines, hence why he will ultimately enter this race. At the moment he's just made it to America while it's running away from prison, basically. In a way, he kind of reminds me, they're trying to do something like the guy from Dr. Stone. However, in the sense of like, whoa, science is the fucking best. Like, he's a dick though. Like he's a really, really actively unlikable character. His character design is also stupid.
He's got Joker lips.
Yeah, and he looks painfully out of place in a way that like there's no real reason for him to.
It's just because he just like he doesn't listen to the man.
Yeah, and so him being an asshole, and that sounds weird coming off of Millionaire Detective. But in Millionaire Detective, we're supposed to think this guy's an asshole. Wow, fuck him. Also, I'm horny. Whereas in Appare Ranman, I think we're supposed to. He's the hero. We're supposed to like him, and I fundamentally don't, and it kind of breaks the show a little for me.
So the one that I most thought of while watching was Oedo Rocket.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And, of course, there's a very big difference in that the lead in Oedo Rocket is kind of a pest, and in that case, he's trying to invent a firework that makes a particular color, and then an alien comes along and she's trying to get back to the moon. So, anyway, he's kind of you can tell he's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But he's also, yes, he's trying to pursue this what seems like ridiculous dream to a lot of people. But he's a much more decent person. Yes, he's appealed to people, but he's very much a part of his, fairly impoverished community. He's just a much more decent person. He is kind to the people around him. He has his run-ins with the law, but it's more like, you pesky kid, no fun in Meiji land. Or, sorry, not Meiji. It's pre-Meiji era. It's, they're still under the Tokugawa shogunate. I can't remember the name of the era, but,
I'm not sure many people have seen Oedo Rocket nowadays.
Oh, God,
It's
I guess.
2006.
It's on Crunchyroll, though, and it's definitely unique.
It is.
Its tone
I've never seen it, actually.
Its tone is really different from what I expect from anime much of the time. It feels in a way like...
I just thought it was a fairly standard shonen.
I would argue that in terms of execution, in a way, it feels like a slightly older live-action history piece, but with a sense of humor. So not like one of the really serious samurai ones, but, it's weird. Watching it, I have this sense of... I feel like it's something that could have been made, at least in terms of tone and everything, in like the 60s or 70s. Or, the 60s is probably a better thing, because part of an era in which Japan was starting to make a turnaround after the disastrous path it took in the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm talking too much about it. It's on Crunchyroll, at least in the U.S. You know what? It is in at least some of Europe, too, because I've watched it here. I didn't watch it until recently. But anyway, back to Appare Ranman. Look, the thing that I really need to talk about here is the fact that, and I can't believe that no one else has seemed to comment on this, but, so, we open with, it's a cold open. They're starting the race, and then they pop back in time. But because they're starting the race, we get a look at the rest of the cast. And it's like,
collection.
Check it out. It's diverse. Check it out. Look, this kid's a native. Which I'm not trusting them to handle that one well at all. Here's a Chinese woman who's like, sexism sucks. Here's a black man. Check out his wacky character design. He wears a noose. What? I actually started yelling. And you can attest to that.
Yes.
The first time they showed a shot of him, I thought, nah, that couldn't be. And the second time I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I went back and checked, and then I went and looked at the character designs that have been posted on the show's page. He's wearing a noose! What the fuck? No! That's not okay! What the fuck? PA works, what the fuck were you thinking? I mean, the show's kind of crap anyway, but that part just, I can't believe it. I know that... Look, I know that there aren't a lot of black people in Japan. And that there's not a lot of understanding about, like, black American history in Japan. But I'm still taken aback.
No, you see, he wears it as, like, a fuck you to the people who want...
Oh, God, I'm sure that's what's going to get rolled out at some point. But that coming from a pack of Japanese people is like, yeah, okay, dudes, fuck you. Like, come on. And I'm sure someone's going to be like, well, you see, there's actually this one animator whose dad was a black, American service member, and he said it was okay, so... By the way, he was raised entirely in Hokkaido. And it's like, no. Even if it had been good, I probably would have dropped it over that. And it wasn't good either. It was very boring. And yes, the lead is crap.
The lead, it feels like they should try to do... His enthusiasm for science and creation and stuff should be infectious in the way it was in Dr. Stone. I mean, I keep bringing up Dr. Stone because it's a really good example of that type of character. Because he can be, like, not shitty to the people around, but he can be quite like, haha, you're a fucking idiot. Let me show you how it's done. But actually, no, he's not. He's always very enthusiastic to bring out the best in people in helping him. He's like, look, man, I can't carve I have no idea how to blow glass. You do. Make this for me. Whereas this guy's just kind of shitty to everyone around him.
And two, he has this very attitude of, like, everybody else is a moron, and there's no point in my ever bothering to explain anything to anyone because they're just too stupid to understand anyway. Yeah. And instead of it, I think the show's very much thinks we're going to be like, wow, check him out. He's, like... so rebellious and free thinking, and he just doesn't care what his society thinks about him. He's willing to just risk everything for his passions, and it's like, he doesn't make the slightest bit of effort to actually be decent to anyone. So, and I'm sure you could make the argument that, well, if he's been in this society the whole time and everybody just constantly tells him he's stupid and sucks, so, he's just like, fuck everyone, I do what I want. But we don't see we only see a few minutes of people being possibly unkind to him.
He's from a rich family anyway.
I say possibly unkind because we know he gets thrown into prison at one point, but we don't see the precipitating event. All we see is him being like, all of you other prisoners are too stupid to deal with, so I'm going to break out, and then I will relock and leave you all here. And fuck you. And just being unpleasant to everyone, so...
Next show is Wave Listen to Me, which is the one with It's the one about...
It's the one with the woman who fights a bear because she got drunk.
Except she doesn't.
Yeah, it's all a... By the way, can I just point out, though, that the bear... is way better than the bear that was in that other Hokkaido show.
Golden Kamui.
Yeah.
I want to go back to
Golden. That was in Hokkaido,
I need to go back to Golden Kamui. It's up north. I know that much. Anyway, so this is she's not actually wrestling where she becomes a late night radio host / DJ.
So it's this woman who works in a restaurant. She's
25.
Maybe a touch after 25.
Yeah. She's
mid-late 20s. She's frustrated because she just broke up with her boyfriend. Oh, and that's a key detail because she's like, oh, Kyushu men, oh, fuck them.
Yeah.
So the regional stuff does matter a little bit. And she goes out drinking because she's upset about having broken up with her boyfriend, and she gets into a conversation with this man at the bar. And she's drunk, and she's ranting, and the next day she wakes up at home, she's like, I feel like shit, I gotta go to work. And as she's working, and she's a server in a restaurant, she hears on the radio something that horrifies her.
Her own voice.
and it's her drunken rant about men.
Yeah.
And I suppose the funniest part of that is that she then, of course, sprints out of the restaurant, leaps into her car, peels off, bursts into the radio station, and demands to see the man, because, he gave her his business card, and she bursts into, the sound booth, as opposed to the recording booth, and she's like, how dare you turn that shit off? And the guy's like, in radio, you can't have silence, so if I turn it off, you're gonna have to talk. She's like, give me the mic! And that begins her radio career. It's a little bit ridiculous, but I'm willing to accept it.
Yeah. I like her a lot. Something's not quite sticking for me with the writing, in the sense of, like, I don't really care about what's happening. As much as we described a fairly ridiculous series of events, I've watched it, and I felt this when I read the manga as well. I felt very detached.
I felt a little bored with the part where she's improvising with the
bear, yeah.
Not the bear so much as the advice column-esque thing, because she's answering letters asking for advice, and
the writing's not there, and it's...
Yeah, it's not quite funny enough. But I did like her.
Exactly. She's good. The writing's not holding her. The writing's not holding up the end of the bargain for the good character they've created.
Also, it's Sunrise, which does still seem like a really strange studio choice.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe Sunrise is trying to branch out because I guess at some point the Gundam well is going to inevitably run dry.
I don't know how to run dry yet.
Yeah, but they've had to go back to... I mean, they're really starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel
for UC.
Yeah,
they did
UC
Origin,
material.
and Origin did well. I think Unicorn did well.
Don't get me started about my feelings about the fact that they're adapting Hathaway's Flash, because I have strong feelings about that.
Yeah.
And no one cares.
We know. Everyone here needs to hear our very strong Gundam opinions.
I didn't used to have UC opinions, and I still don't.
You have UC opinions. I have UC opinions.
Who doesn't have UC opinions? Speaking of which, the Reconquista second movie's been pushed back, because I know everyone loves Reconquista.
No.
Hey, that was the one
world is not square.
Reconquista sold better than Gundam had in years, like a TV series.
Yeah, I mean, I think Iron-Blooded Orphans did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we're not here to talk about Gundam.
We could move on to talking about mechs, though.
Oh, true.
Because we're already going that way, and that would mean we could bring up Listeners, which I just watched the second episode of, so I guess you can probably figure out I might like it somewhat. I know you didn't like it at all.
I didn't like it at all.
Honestly, the first episode was the most excited I've been about a genuinely new piece of mech work in I don't even know how long.
We just watched Promare.
Yeah, but I watched the first episode, Listeners, before I watched Promare.
Okay, fair enough.
Also, Promare was fine. I am not as big on it as you are.
Promare makes me cry with joy. I love that movie.
You didn't cry. I watched your face. There were no tears.
You didn't look very hard then. Promare is... we just talk about Promare. Promare is the best.
It's fine. There's stuff about that I liked, but I thought it was way too long. I think they could have excised about 20 minutes of material in the middle without much harm.
Promare, I am so happy Promare exists. Anyway, Listeners, sorry, you should talk about Listeners.
I do, and yes, I look at Promare, and the visuals are definitely dynamic and creative, and I liked the cast decently. I didn't think it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Did I hype it up too much?
I mean...
Oh, then again, it was Trigger.
I don't think it was you who hyped it up too much. I think everybody hyped it.
Okay.
But I don't really like Trigger a huge amount, and guess what? I didn't really like Gainax either. Funny how these things work.
I mean, of the Trigger things you've seen that's by Imaishi, you like Panting Saki and you kind of liked this, so...
Well, again, as I said to you the other day when you brought up Panting Stalking, it's a weird comparison point because they let people off the chain with it, which is why there is such variable quality. Speaking of off the chain, man, I wish there was more Pop Team Epic. But anyway, back to listeners. I really liked it. I know you didn't. It was pretty silly, the first episode, but in a way that worked for me. Also, you know what? It's kind of nice to, for once, have... Look, so many mech shows, the boys get to pilot the, fancy mech, and the girls don't.
They sit on the bridge and to be the voice in your ear saying, like Sayla in Gundam.
So I liked listeners because the girl's actually the one piloting it. It's nice for a change. It's also nice for a change for it to be in a show that is a relatively mainstream type mech show. After years of being like, will they ever make a Gundam at Cold to Seal? No, they won't, because of course they won't. There's no justice in this world. Yeah. Having said that, yes, I know that in a bunch of the Gundam series, the women get to pilot some of the other mechs. I get it, but there's a difference between being like, I am the main pilot, and not.
Yeah. Grand Bell just aired.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't you mean I can't believe my Monica can pilot a mech?
Yep.
Okay, I did like the mechs. They made really cool noises. They went like zoom, zoom. That's all I liked about it. We're going all over the place, aren't we? What else did I like about Listeners? It's silly. It's not particularly serious. Yeah, I don't know. It's the right thing for a pandemic.
I hate the designs of the mechs. I think they look ugly as sin. Mech shows stopped being good when they made CG mechs.
Well...
Until Promare.
Now we can go back to Grand Belm, because that was one of the times that I looked at, and I was like, CG has enhanced the design with these mechs, but that's because the mechs are kind of like...
Yeah.
They've brought to mind that phrase I have not heard in years, uber deformed, or super deformed.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, anyway.
Oh god, we have so much left to discuss.
Most of these are ones that only one of us have seen, so like, I'm the only one watching Tower of God, for example, which is based off a Korean manhwa, where it was really popular in like the late 2000s, even mid to late 2000s, early 2010s. It reminds me a lot of...
Is it the 20 teens?
20 teens that we're calling it? The new teens?
I think so. Now we're doing the Roaring 20s, but the crash moved up by 9 years.
Roaring 20s, the pandemic 20s. It reminds me a lot of Hunter x Hunter in the sense of like, let's just gather all these characters from like widely disparate walks of life and like feel like they all come from different shows. Like one of the characters is just like a dude in a tracksuit, while there's another guy who is like this green skin.
He's just in a sleeping... No. See, I thought you were going to...
Yeah, there's the guy in the sleeping bag. There's another one who's like a Spartan alligator who with a spear and like a toga. And then there's the weird alien with eyes all around his head. Looks like Claydol from Pokemon. And then there's like...
Claydol's based on...
Yeah.
Some of the...
the old...
The, like, ancient... pre-ancient... Do you call it pre-ancient? Prehistoric.
Yeah.
The yayoi culture in Japan.
Yes.
Some figures that they've left over.
Then there's like someone who's like samurai basically with like the two swords, and someone has like this green alien girl with a whip, and yeah. And they're all together to this one competition where it's like, now you must all climb this tower, and you go to different levels and compete in contests, and people get knocked out along the way. And it's very creative, but also I kind of dig its weird style as well. It's got a very strange art style that I wasn't digging from the trailers, but then I watched the show and it's like, I dig how weird this thing is. It's very scratchy lines, almost like the world's best animated Flash show. It's really interesting. I'm kind of digging it. It's turned very shonen-y by the second episode, but like, well, whatever. I'll watch a good shonen. It's made me think like I should go back to Hunter x Hunter someday.
Well, pandemic's a good time to do so.
I also want to go back to Golden Kamuy, though. I'm trying to pick one. And I want to go back to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, so I've got a lot of things I want to watch. But yeah, if you want to learn more about Tower of God, I am actually covering this one weekly on the blog. So you can go...
read my blog, bitch.
Read my blog, bitch. Next up is Arte.
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 Oh, yeah, Arte. You know, that Renaissance girl with the painting stuff.
Yeah.
I forget what the source material actually is. I forget if it's a light novel or manga.
I think it's a manga.
Anyway, this is about a daughter who is from a noble family that's relatively impoverished, and she wants to be an artist.
In Renaissance era Japan, in Renaissance era Italy.
Yeah, she's in Florence specifically.
Oh, the home of the Renaissance, basically.
Man, it fucks me up how Europeans say Renaissance. It's probably right, but it still fucks me up. Anyway, so she wants to paint. She's really into art, and in the opening scene, she is trying to sketch a sparrow, and her maid comes in and is like, "Oh God, you're being so lewd," because her knees are showing because she's crouched on the windowsill, and then we go from that to her mom burning all her drawings, because... No, now, you need to get married, and men won't go near you if you're a fucking weirdo, and only weirdos get this obsessed with art.
Da Vinci was a strange man.
And from there we go with, from there she goes into town, she's like, no, I gotta get myself apprenticed to someone, but everybody throws her out, and says, puh,
women,
just a woman, get out. And so... That's actually a point of something I disagree with the official subs, is they keep using the word girl for her, and I don't think that makes sense given the cultural context. She's 15. She's marriageable age. She would have been perceived as a woman in that culture. So I find it jarring when they call her a girl in the subs, but I realize there are lots of arguments to be had about translation. Also, the thing that doesn't really make sense in this particular sequence is, yes, she's a woman, and women didn't get treated very well in that culture, but the idea that all of these workshops would physically manhandle her and toss her out the door when she's a member of the nobility seems unlikely. I feel like she would have been humored a bit more than we saw than what actually happened, but whatever.
It does...
I'm not going to get too hung up on the details. She ends up becoming apprentice to someone because he cuts in when she finally gets upset with one of the folks after, like, the 20th one has tossed her out. She's like, oh, it's just because I'm a woman. Well, what if I cut off my hair? What if I cut off my breasts? And everybody's like, what? And this man intervenes, and she ends up apprenticed to him because she's like, please, let me be your apprentice. And he's like, I don't do apprentices, no. And gives her an impossible task to complete. And she completes it. And he's like, I guess I have to take her on. Also, too, he gives her an impossible task because he disbelieves her when she says, like, why do I want to do this? Because I like painting. And he's like, you do not have the true dedication, and we've learned that he came from a poor family, and he ended up going into art because he wanted to have a dignified way of supporting himself. And then she admits, after he comes back in the morning and she's completed the impossible task, that she said, I'm sorry, I lied. It's not that, it isn't simply that I love art, it's that I want to earn my way in the world. I don't want to just have to, have the best I can hope for as a marriage, and, that it's just someone who has some money and isn't horrible. I want to be able to support myself, and this is a way to do it. And he's like, okay, fine, you can be my apprentice.
It came across when I remember reading the manga as Baby's first feminism. Is very simplistic.
her talking about being angry about being driven away from all these other places just because she's a woman.
Yeah.
That did feel a little more like, instead of it being simply like, I want to draw and the world is oppressing me. Her then talking about, well, I want to draw and it made me angry that everybody drove me off just because I'm a woman. And there's something I want more out of this world than just this existence that my society says is the only one I can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think they simplify a bit, but I don't think it's totally basic level.
Okay.
We'll see. I have a feeling I might prefer to read the manga if it ever gets licensed, but I liked it decently so far. I haven't gotten to the second episode yet, though.
Next up is Sing Yesterday to Me.
No, it's Sing Yesterday for me. God, I'm not even interested and I know that.
Sorry, it's very slice of life. Young 20s man is lost his way in life because he doesn't know, because he left university and now is like, I have a shitty job and the girl I like, I confessed to her and it didn't work out and now I'm just lying in the trash thinking like, what the hell am I doing? And then Manic Pixie Dream Girl shows up with a crow on her shoulder and she's so wacky and she comes from crazy background herself and she's gonna show up and like be all flirty for no reason and yeah.
True tears.
It's so fucking basic. Because it is incredibly well made and there are people for whom it will hit and I get it, but when the solution is Manic Pixie Dream Girl, it's very eye roll inducing. It's like fucking this guy again, it's like the solution drops into your lap and it's very you need to be more creative than that. And it's disappointing for how well it's animated. That's not even like I dislike the Manic Pixie Crow girl. I mean, I actually kind of like her, but yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a second shot, but you have to show me more, guys. You have to be a bit more creative.
Yeah, I opted to not watch it because I just figured it was going to irritate me.
Yeah.
And on a couple levels. One, I find it... Please stop rubbing your foot on the floor. I find it in the middle of a disastrous pandemic a little hard to relate to a story in which it's like, life sucks. I'm relatively privileged, but I don't know what I want to do with my shiny university education, and I don't like my job because it doesn't really, it's not really me, but I'm making money, and I have a roof over my head. Anyway, I don't know. It just, to me, sounds the wrong tone for what I'm looking for at the moment.
It is quite an old manga. Well, no,
also, too, it's a Gen X manga.
Yes.
Because it's from the 90s, and that's another thing where it's like, the worst fate there possibly could be is doing a job that you don't like. And as a millennial, that just feels like a really weird outlook.
Yeah.
Because I'm hesitant. I don't really like generational arguments a lot just because I think they tend to be very reductive, and it's really just the same thing over and over again. It's, you youths, get off my lawn. When I was your age, life was hard. And the youths being like, fuck you, Mom, Dad, you can't tell me what to do. You don't get it at all. And I don't find that useful as a prism through which to look at things. But anyway, going back to it, though, I have a hard time, again, relating to something where a lot of the flux is like, my job, it's just like numbing my soul, when I know so many people who like would have jumped at the chance to get some of these dead-end jobs.
The plight of the salaryman, or this guy's not even a salaryman, the plight of the dead-end mindless job is what it definitely feels like a story from a bygone era nowadays. Yeah, whereas now it's like, how will I earn money at all?
Well, it's like, instead of it being, I am in a kind of mind-numbing, dead-end job. I guess now it's like, I do work for 3 different apps.
Yeah.
And altogether, I still can't pay my rent.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I know that there's different... It's just... For me, it's not something that I find of the least bit of interest at this moment.
Yeah.
And you and other people have mentioned the Inyo Asano comparisons, and like, I kind of get it, but since Asano, in some of his most visible stuff, has centered the story around young women who are trying to figure, Solanin is one of the most prominent of his stuff, but because it's centered around a young woman who's kind of dealing with that, I feel a bit differently about it. Because, it's also just executed differently. There was a manic pixie whatever.
I also don't actually like...
I know you don't.
I don't like Inyo Asano's work.
But I'm talking about myself.
I find them difficult to connect to. I don't have the same mindset as his characters do. And I feel almost uncomfortable because they'll make a decision as like, I don't get it. Which...
Oh, maybe I'll reread Solanin. I think I have it on the shelf somewhere around here.
Yeah.
But...
Anyway, next up, speaking of depressing things, is Tamayomi.
It's boring. This is the Baseball Girls show, which, my God, I wasn't expecting this to be well animated, but oh my God.
Compare this to Sing Yesterday to me.
The visuals are just so bad. And I've only watched the first episode because it's just too boring for me to watch anymore. But I was watching thinking, oh my God. If this is what it looks like in episode 1, what's it going to look like in episode 5?
Particularly when you compare it to stuff like Sing Yesterday to me is incredibly well animated. Like, on a level...
we don't even have to compare it to Sing Yesterday for me. It's for me.
Yes.
If I compare it with My Next Life as a Villainess, which isn't exactly dynamically animated, like, at no point watching... the first 2 episodes of All Routes Lead to Doom, did I look at it and go like, what the fuck is wrong with the proportions on these characters? Whereas that happened multiple times in Tamayomi, where I was just looking and thinking, wait, I gotta pause here. What the hell? Why do they look so stubby? Why is her face like that? Why is it so flat? And, man, talk about, every trick in the book to avoid showing movement.
Yes.
Which, for a sports show, is kind of a kiss of death.
Particularly when you come off high Q.
They spend a lot of time working up to one of the girls throwing a pitch, in which we just keep not actually seeing any of the action. We'll see her start to wind up, but the motion of the ball leaving her hand... and then going toward the batter, we just don't see it. We see, it's hard to explain if you go and watch it, you'll get what I'm saying. It's a little difficult to explain otherwise because of just the pains at which they were to avoid showing stuff directly. They finally do, but even when they finally do, it looks weird. It's supposed to be like this, whoa, check out this pitch. Oh my God, can you believe it? But it just looks weird. And also, it's so boring. So boring. I like baseball. I really do. And this was painful. Ugh.
Anyway.
Also, the characters just, they're not interesting at all.
I mean, they're just kind of cute moe blobs.
And I know people this is the one that's been fluffed as like, oh, check out this Yuri, but there really isn't that much chemistry there. The show thinks there is, though, so you have, totally normal behavior, such as 2 of the girls meeting up, and it's like, oh, they used to be friends when they were in elementary school, and it's their first time seeing each other in years, which, by the way, I am so sick of, oh, we're fated to be because we knew each other when we were 7. Fuck that. And... so they meet again, and it's like, oh, wow, hey, is that you? Oh, my God, it's you. How have you been? Leap upon them. Oh, yeah, you still smell. Oh, I love the smell. And it's like, wait, what?
Is that not how you greet your old friends?
It's like, what? Does anyone actually think this is how teen girls normally relate to one another? Like, even gay teen girls who haven't seen each other in years?
I don't know. That's how, when I'm like, see my friends from school, I sniff them. That's probably why.
You don't have any friends from school, so that's why you don't actually sniff them.
I think that's why. I finally figured it out.
But, yeah, it's just... No, the characters act bizarrely. But the point of me telling that was that the show is like, yes, you see, they gay for each other in some fashion, but we're also not going to ever directly state it because that's not our bag at all. But it's very artificial. There's no actual chemistry there. Mm. You do not get the sense of like, oh, they liked each other in the past, huh? No, it feels like they're going through the motions of like, I've never met a teen girl in my life. This is how they behave, correct? It's like do you remember when we went to the castle in Kyoto? Mm-hmm. And there were the paintings of the tigers on the walls. Oh, yes. But none of the artists had ever seen a tiger before.
They'd only seen the pelts, I think.
They'd seen pelts, but they'd never seen an actual tiger, so they look really bizarre. It was kind of like that, but in anime form.
Anyway.
But... yeah, enough about that. Here, you can talk about some quality animation.
Oh, this one actually is well animated.
Yeah, I wasn't... Did you think I was talking out of me bum?
Kakushigoto, which I do not... This is by the author of Sayonara Zetsubu Sensei, which means I feel sorry for the poor translators, because he is like Nisio in the sense of like, let's put as many different varied puns and plays on Japanese wordplay and so on. I like this a lot more than I was expecting. It's very well animated. It's genuinely quite funny. And he feels like he's matured a little, the author, which is nice. He's the guy... the story it almost feels semi-autobiographical because it's about an author, a mangaka who has a daughter and then suddenly feels extreme shame considering his most popular manga he's written in the past is one full of like dick jokes. So he tries to hide the fact that he's a manga author from her and doing all sorts of things like don't go up this side of the street where his office is because there are, I can't remember what he calls them, but like fancy people. So people who are dressed, and basically it's a hipster store around there. And so, but then the girl, all the young girls, like his daughter and her friends are all like, let's go up there. We might see fancy people. And they're like, are they like witches or something? And they find a Starbucks and they look at the Starbucks logo and it looks like a witch. And they're like, oh no, this is where the fancy people are. And then they go in and they're all like ordering lattes, but with all the different things. And they're like, oh no, it's magical incantations. We must escape. It's legitimately quite funny and charming, and like I laughed out loud on more than one occasion for the first episode. So like I'm on board with this. Yeah, I did laugh a few times, so long as the author's weird right-wing opinions stay out of it, as he's the one who's put in give us back our islands, Korea, in his work before. So but like Sayonara Zetsubu Sensei is, I mean, eventually kind of
collapsed inwards on its
kind of collapsed in on itself, but like there's some moments of absolute genius in Sayonara Zetsubu Sensei, and I mean the guy's a genuinely funny author. So if they can continue with this track, I know it's a slightly tired at this stage, the kind of young single dad story that anime seems to crop up remarkably frequently.
It's kind of interesting as
the
kind of story that keeps recurring.
Yeah.
Because of what it would seem to indicate about some of the unfulfilled desires of...
You got everything from like Bunny Drop to Sweetness and Lightning to even Clannad, I think, kind of falls in this category.
Yeah.
And like we're talking stuff that's... I mean, Bunny Drop's slightly different because it's josei rather than seinen, which stuff like this and Clannad especially would be. But yeah, it is interesting societally maybe what it says, but whatever.
I've in the past have pointed out that Clannad's popularity was intriguing in that it essentially was an argument that well, all these people are seeking this. They're looking at a property in which the happy ending is that you get to restore your family.
Yeah.
And you have your wife and your child, and you're happy and you're together.
Yeah.
Was an interesting thing to get popular among
young men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Next up on the list, there's not much left. There's BNA.
Well, everything that's left is yours.
Yeah, is BNA, which brand new animal, the new thing by Trigger, not by Imaishi, not the Promare guy, but the guy who did, I've forgotten his bloody name, but the guy who did Little Witch Academia, so he's the good but not amazing director, I would call him. I know people love Little Witch Academia. I like it, but not love it.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is the furry show. I mean, not really, but yes, really.
It's by Nero Academia.
Yes. I know, I've only seen one episode. I know there's 6 out, but there's no official stream for it. I've just seen fan subs.
It
was on Japanese Netflix.
It's on Japanese Netflix, because it was a batch drop, which is relatively unusual with anime. Although, I mean, with Netflix producing some, it's a little more common, but I don't know how much they were involved in the funding, if at all, for this. In fact, I don't know that they were involved with the funding. They might just have, I don't know. It's because we know the ones that they were involved with the funding, because it's, The fact that I don't know makes me think,
well, whatever.
Weren't? I don't know.
It's fun, but I'm not entirely sold out episode 1. I think I don't particularly like Edgy Wolfman story, which is who's this character who appeared for the second half of the episode, but I was kind of into the first half where she was doing the run to the town. But yeah, I need to see more before I make any more judgment. And then the rest of the stuff is like sequels, Well, first of all, Olympia Kai Close is not out yet, for shame, which is by the author Tamayomi, but I'm just bringing this up to remind you all to watch it.
Isn't it Kiklos?
Kiklos?
Well, if it's Olympia.
Olympia Kiklos, yeah. Make sure you all watch that. It comes out on the 24th, I think. Keep an eye out for it.
Does anybody have the license?
Please, someone license it. Tamayomi is amazing.
Speaking of licenses, no one licensed Michiru Wanko. So there's a Michiru Neko spinoff airing this
with dogs,
season,
yes.
With dogs, and no one's licensed it.
The world is a fuck.
I guess I'm gonna go back and just rewatch Michiru Neko, which is my favorite short.
Yeah. And the other stuff is just sequels, like Ascendance of a Bookworm, which, hey, surprise, surprise, is still good. I totally see why they cut off last season where they did, because this does feel like an entirely different world.
I'm gonna have to read the next. So I've been reading Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's really good. I, though, had paused because I didn't want to catch up with the English language release, because isn't that painful then, waiting months and months for the next volume? Although I end up waiting months and months, because it's like, I'll wait for them to put out a few more volumes before I start reading.
It's the same thing, essentially.
Whatever. It feels different, though. I need to read the next volume in my reading of it, because now I'm getting worried that you're going to get ahead of where I am in the books.
Okay, and you want to lord it up.
No, it's just, it makes it harder to discuss.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be spoiled. Well, so one other thing I do want to note is, holy hell, a lot of stuff ended up getting delayed to the summertime. So summer's probably going to be a huge season.
Which was delayed?
Oh, God.
Ray
No
Zero.
Guns Life, Ray Zero, SAO. I think I'm forgetting one, but I can't remember one of them, if it was supposed to originally air or not. Because there's...
There will probably be a lot more delayed because Tokyo has just now gone on lockdown.
Well, and in fact, I'm wondering how many of these shows are actually going to completely air this season.
Yeah.
I did wonder if part of the reason Kaguya-sama maybe has the same OP might be to do with COVID.
The problem is, so like most of the animation will be done for these, but it's the voice acting, I think, will be the...
Oh, what was the one where... So, My Next Life as a Villainess supposedly
is all done.
Is all done.
Yeah.
because some of the folks working on it they had other hotter property type projects they were going to go work on.
Okay.
The Sakuga crowd was chattering about it. But yeah, I do wonder if we're going to see a lot of delays and...
Oh God, Attack on Titan. Not like Attack on Titan, because that's supposed to come out next season, I think. And it's not like Attack on Titan hasn't had production issues in the past.
Well, and two, you wonder stuff. I mean, at a certain point, if stuff keeps getting delayed, I mean, there's going to be some summer shows that'll probably get bumped from broadcast.
I mean, they're animating them now, and now is when the lockdown happens in Tokyo.
Well, it's also, too, thinking about there's only so many slots for broadcast in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think's going to get the preference?
I mean, what'll just happen is things will keep getting pushed back.
Yeah. No, I know that. It's just...
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the summer schedule, I mean, I wouldn't count on anything.
Yeah. Finally, the true victims of COVID-19 have been revealed.
Anime fans!
Yes.
Oh, I suffer.
I mean, we hadn't suffered so far because none of us go outside because we're all otaku weeb losers who sit indoors and watch anime all day.
Speak for yourself. I sit outside all the time because I work shift work and I don't get to see the sun.
Yeah. And that's it. That's what we watched for the spring 2020 season.
Look, I know it's confusing when you don't go outside, but it's spring now.
Yeah. What month is it? What year is it? We've been inside for 52 years, and thankfully there's a lot of anime to watch. We'll see you next time.
Bye.